John, Dak Prescott at his best is what, and at worst is what, and what does that mean when we look at the top 10 in quarterbacks in this league?
Yeah, I'd say he's probably right. I'd say he's probably low end of the top 10 on average. I'd say at his best he can be top 5, and at his worst he can be down by like 15. I think him dealing with so many injuries over the last couple of years have hurt his consistency, whether it be with the receivers or just him, being out there and in a rhythm. I mean, Mike McCarthy will talk a lot about, when his Packers team that won the Super Bowl, and just success in the NFL in general in an offensive line is having that same 5 guys playing together for a long period of time. It doesn't necessarily mean like the 5 best guys or some loaded offensive line with 3 or 4 Pro Bowlers, but having that same 5 that play the whole season and the success you can have because of that. And I think of Dak a lot when I think about that, because there was a while there where early in his career, you just were like, kind of like the Josh Allen thing, where you don't mind him running and things like that because he just never was getting hurt. And then all of a sudden these last few years, it's been one thing after another, and there are all these different injuries. And when all that stuff starts stacking up, it's hard to say that, does that not have some type of impact on your mental state in the game in terms of your confidence for certain throws and trying to do things, trying to prove that you're back, not only to onlookers, but to yourself that, hey, I can make all these throws, and I'm the same guy I was before. And so I don't know. The guy that we've seen recently, I don't think is back to what we've seen playing at his highest level. I think he can get back there. There needs to be more consistency on the offense with him and others around for him to get there. And maybe add an Odell Beckham will help. I don't know, but he's not there right now.
I'm interested in your perspective on this, because I don't think I've had the chance to ask you this question. And obviously covering this team as long as you have a very unique perspective on this. What makes Dak Prescott so polarizing as a quarterback here? I don't know. I feel like with him in general, it's just turning on the TV today, and no matter what show's on, they might not even be talking about football at the time, but if it's a sports show going on, there's something about Dak and the Cowboys on the bottom of the screen that is either going to be coming up on the show or they just talked about. So, if he's the quarterback of the Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings, he's not nearly as polarizing. There's a lot of talk about Kirk Cousins and things like that. I can only imagine what it would be like if Kirk Cousins was the Cowboys quarterback. I mean, ratchet that up by about 100%. So I think that's the big reason. And then the fact that, hey, he got paid $40 million a year. He got paid like one of the elite quarterbacks in the league. And so there's a sense where when you're drafted in the 4th round and you have immediate success that, no one was looking at him in 2016. Like, you got to carry this team. It was the running game, and it was kind of just riding the hot hand. And the expectation was not to, go to the playoffs and be the number 1 seed in the NFC and make a deep playoff run. It was, hey, man, this is house money. We thought that this was Romo's team, but it looks like there's a new guy in town. And it was probably like that for another couple of years. But then when you get the big contract, you're playing under a franchise tag, you're going to be judged like one of those top quarterbacks when you're getting paid like that. And it just kind of went together with the fact that when it's been, like I said, it's been one injury after another. And I think that's been a factor for him. That's probably affected his confidence.
All right. So one of the things that I've found interesting about the Dak Prescott thing, or at least as I was watching this past game, and I'm interested to get your opinion as you were somebody who's in the building, did it feel to you like Dak Prescott was trying to get the ball out very quickly? Because I did have that feeling, and I've been trying to be cognizant of the offensive line and pass protection.
I don't know that I noticed it any more in that game than any previous ones. Mm-hmm. I mean, I feel like he's getting it out probably sooner than he would if he had Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and Tyron Smith. But that's part of it for sure. There's also the part that he probably isn't as well. I know he's not as mobile as he used to be, so that's a part. I feel like Dak, his first few years on the last play that the Cowboys had the ball in that fourth down in overtime, I think he probably gets through that and probably runs for that first down. So I don't know that he's all the way back to what he was before in that aspect. So maybe that factors in. And then the other part with that is the quicker you throw it, the less chance someone's hitting your hand or an offensive lineman's getting pushed back on you and you're hitting your hand on their helmet or something like that. I mean, that's the thing. Like, yeah, he's back from that thumb injury, but I find it hard to believe that anybody could have that injury and not be thinking about that because of the fact that your hands get hit so much when you're a quarterback. But if you don't have any of those hand injuries, you're not really thinking about it. You're just like, yeah, my hand always gets hit. It's not a big deal, you know. But then after that happens, I don't know how anybody wouldn't just be thinking about that from time to time. So that could factor in too. That could be in his head that, hey, I got to get the ball out quick because I don't want to be throwing with a lot of guys around me and things like that, hitting my hand again, getting another injury. Next thing you know, I'm on the sideline. I mean, he's as mentally strong as anybody, not just football or anybody I've ever come across in my life, but he's also a human being.
We're talking to Jon Machota of The Athletic on 105 through the Fan. And John, wow, I said Josh. John, how good is this defense, or how do we classify this defense, considering that it seems like run defense is a gaping hole that teams are willing to exploit?
Yeah, I still think it's one of the best defenses in the league. I just think we can pump the brakes on the best defense in the league talk, you know, and that's what this team prides itself on. You know, it's not just being the best defense in the league. It's especially having a Dan Quinn. It's, you know, we want to be like one of those Seahawks defenses in like 2013. You know, we want to be like one of those Ravens defenses with Ray Lewis. You know, we want to be like an iconic elite defense like people remember. And I do think that there's a lot of the pieces there for that to happen, but there's no way you can be that if you. And again, I'm not sure. I don't even think you need to be the best team at stopping the run, but that thing's got to be middle of the pack. You can't be one of the worst 5 rush defenses in the league and say this is the best team. I think that they have the potential to be the best pass rushing team in the league, but that rush defense has to get at least middle of the pack for that to get to where it needs to be for this team to get in the playoffs and make a deep playoff run. You give up. It's funny. I looked this up a little while ago about the 2013 Seahawks. You know, great defense, led them to the Super Bowl. They actually had, I think it was like week 8 or 9 that year, they had back-to-back games where they gave up 200 rushing yards. I just never would have thought that. And actually, the Seahawks won both of those games, so that even surprised me even more. But I don't think you need to have the best rush defense, but what we've been seeing lately is just not going to cut it. I mean, this team could still make the playoffs with this run defense, but you're going to get the same result as you got last season. You're getting knocked out in the first round. The thing that's really got to come to, at least, it's not going to probably come to a complete stop, but they got to find a way to get teams to stop running on the perimeter on them. It's just very clear that's out there on tape. Hey, you playing the Cowboys run defense? Get to the perimeter. You'll get something every single time. And if everyone can do that, that's going to be a bad situation, especially with the backs coming into town. They're going to be playing them going forward.
John, you were in the locker room after this game was over with on Sunday, and obviously there were things and comments about, you know, obviously some anger, some frustration, some agitation, if you will, players talking about this loss. What do you think in this locker room needs to happen for them to turn this into something that they can build off of going forward with the amount of noise that was surrounding this team after that game was over with?
I think that the talking's fine after games and after losses. It'll get magnified, but you have to just step up and get it done on the field. And I believe that now more than ever because of the fact of not even just the guys in the locker room. I factor that in, again, going back to just being a human being, into the social media aspect. The fact that anybody that's got $50 can get all 22, you know, it's out there. Like, you know, it's not just you don't just have to go in that Monday meeting and hear Dan Quinn talk about what are you doing on this play, wrap up, how are you letting this guy get past you, how are you getting burnt on. You're hearing it everywhere on social media, and people are tweeting out the video of the all 22 of it, you know, and so because of that, the talking's fine, you know, and you can get fired up and all that. But at the end of the day, you have to show it on film for everybody to see that you've fixed the problem. And if that doesn't get fixed, you can point fingers all you want. But I don't know. I say this every year. I believe as sports fans, we become more and more educated to the game because the resources are just out there that there's just so much more available to you, from YouTube videos to, you know, other things that are on the internet that can just teach you the game that, you know, there's not a lot of disguising, you know, what you guys are doing. If you're not playing well, people are going to figure that out pretty quick. And so there's got to be a pride factor in that for guys. And I think there is. And this team knows that they're talented on defense. So they know what they've done these last couple of weeks isn't good enough. And they know that's not up to their standard. So, I mean, the talking's fine, but it's going to have to be, you're going to have to show it on tape. Like, you should be pissed off with the way you played against Green Bay. So that group should come out there and play one of the best games that you've seen them play all season in Minnesota, considering the weapons Minnesota has and how good of a running game that they can put on the field with Dalvin Cook. The evidence should be on the field on Sunday. That's when we should get our answer.
John, coolest part about being in Green Bay, Wisconsin is?
Honestly, I was not even looking forward to this trip. This is my fourth time to Green Bay, and I was more disappointed with the fact that about a week ago I saw that the temperature was going to be about 37, and at first it looked like it was going to be like maybe in the 50s. I was really looking for it, and then it dropped, and I was like, I'm not even looking for this trip. I'll stay in Milwaukee, and I'll just drive up the morning of. And I got there, man, and I loved every minute of it, just because it is just the stadium's just so different from any other stadium in the NFL, and so that part to me was great. And then the other thing was especially if you go to a lot of Cowboys home games, when the ball kicks off, especially middle of the day or 3:00 game, every seat's not filled yet. It takes a little bit, maybe a series goes by or whatever and everything. So no, in Green Bay, every seat was filled for the flyover in the national anthem. Like that place was rocking and ready to go. It just is. You can kind of feel the history when you're in that building, and so. All of it. It was amazing. And then towards the end of the game, I went down by the field thinking that it was going to be over in regulation, but I ended up getting to watch all of overtime from field level. So just an iconic stadium to get to watch it on the field. Just incredible.